Hi again, everyone. I'm Greg Heilman with the Sound on Stage. Today I'm going behind the curtain with Bretteney Beverly. Bretteney is the Associate Artistic Director and Casting Director at Taproot Theatre, and she's also the director of their upcoming show, How to Write a New Book for the Bible. The show features Taproot founders Pam and Scott Nolte, along with Richard Wynn Sloniker and Nick Donner, and runs on stage at Taproot's Jewell Mainstage from March 20th through April 20th. Welcome to the show, Bretteney.
Thank you so much for having me, Greg. I really appreciate it.
So at first, I'm reading this and I'm thinking, all right, this is something that's a show that's got some sort of religious undertones or whichever. But I've been fooled in the past. I think it was um, the show, "The Case for the Existence of God." I think it was at the Rep, and I thought, hey, this is going to be something that's going to be super religious, and it was nothing. It was completely different than what that I thought it was going to be. This one, though, seems like it does have a little bit of a religious undertone to it, and it almost seems like it's autobiographical. Um, so tell me a little bit about the play from a summary perspective and how you got involved in it and what audiences can expect.
Absolutely. So yes, you are on the money with that. It does have a religious undertone, and it follows Bill Kane, our playwright, and his family. So what he did was he basically took care of his mother and father in their last days, and this story kind of goes back and forth in a disjointed storyline through memories to see how their family became their family and the
Hmm.
impact it had on his life and his brother's lives. And he is a Jesuit priest. And so he uses the Bible as a metaphor to describe his family. And
Wow.
so he,
Okay.
he interweaves stories of the Bible to offer the audience an option for a new book for the Bible, which is his family story. And at the end, which is a beautiful offering, is that he challenges everyone in the audience every 100 years to submit a new book to the Bible using their own family story.
Interesting.
Um, so to kind of fall back on your last question, how I got involved with the story, myself, Karen Lund, Sonia Lowe, who make up our artistic team, and we were selecting shows for our season. And the two of them had seen the show when it was at the Rep many years ago, and had read the show, and they were very, very familiar with it, and they both loved it. And I was the only one who was like, I have never heard of this play, I've never seen this show, and they were like, you got to read it, you're gonna love it. And I read it, and I immediately fell in love with it because it is a universal story of family and community and connection. And we all can relate to that. There's a piece in this story for everyone in the audience. Um, and been having previews for the last 2 days, and like that is the feedback that we're getting, is that folks can resonate with anyone in this story. And I just had a conversation with the playwright Bill Kane yesterday, and it was funny. He asked me a very similar question to you. And he was like, "You're not a Irish Catholic." And I'm, no, I'm not. He was like, "So how did you get involved in this?" And I told the same thing I said to you. And also I've lost my grandfather and my grandmother and my dad this past year.
Hmm.
Um, and for me, I was like, I can resonate and identify with these characters. I know what it's like to be a caregiver. I know what it's like to see a parent age. We all know that.
Yep.
And just the offering of having your family story being told in this way, I think is a spectacular story.
Yeah, it's interesting when you take um, family and relationships and things like that, and you make a play accessible. So that's how you bring people in. But then when you can make it kind of layered and complex, and it sounds like I'm going to ask you about the time jumps and the flashbacks and all that in a second. But um, it's nice when you can do that because you bring people in with these familiar topics and situations, and that allows you to really present what you want to present,
Yeah,
as your layered play.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I think Bill does that in his writing style spectacularly. He just is a master of that. He was like, I'm a preacher, I'm a 50% preacher, and I'm a 50% comedian. And so I think he accomplishes that in his show. And Richard, who plays Bill, is great. He's phenomenal.
Great. Yeah, I can't wait to see it. I'm coming next week. Um, and what I want to ask you about is the idea of directing a show when you're moving back and forth between time and flashbacks and things like that. How do you as a director handle that to try to make it seem seamless, like it's not just, like one skit after another skit? I mean, because there's an art to
Um,
that.
yes, absolutely. One of the things that really helped our dramaturg, Sonia Lowe, for the production, went and kind of made us a timeline so that we could follow when these events were actually taking place. And the other thing that we just did as a cast was we had to connect it to story. Bill does a really good job of setting up, as we like to call them, his arguments that he's going to put forth for like the next memory and use that as like our kind of transition and springboard into the next memory. The other thing that we really wanted to use, and I stressed this with my design team, was how could we use design elements to help us move from each memory? So there's a lot of lighting shifting
Mhm.
happening. We have use of projections that kind of take us place from when Bill is kind of in this cathedral space where he's, preaching to the audience, and then we shift back to being into the house, or we shift back into a pumpkin field for another memory, or we shift back to when the brothers visit the wall in DC, to just kind of have the audience go along for the journey with us.
And given the unique shape of the stage at Taproot, did that help hinder you, or was it just another challenge that you had to overcome with the design team to make it work?
Absolutely. So it was most definitely another challenge that we had to overcome. But luckily, and to me, in the sense of memories, which are, as we know, fragmented,
Hmm.
even for us and the things that we're thinking about our childhood memories. So it just kind of made sense for me to have everything coming at different angles. And that works for our stage, right? That deep three-quarter thrust. So we have people coming in from the VOMs, people coming in from upstage, and how we're lighting them to kind of create distance, if you will. I thought was just really special. And I think our stage makes it more intimate and accessible for our audience members.
Oh, for sure. When I spoke with Karen right before Book of Will came out at Taproot, your show a few months, or I guess a month ago, time flies. Yeah, we talked about how unique the space is, and that if anywhere you're sitting, when you look, you see somebody else beyond the stage, you see another audience member. So it really
Yeah.
does give you this feeling of community, and that you're sharing this experience, which for something that the way this show sounds, which I have not seen yet, but at least from what I know and from what you've told me, sounds like it's going to even add to the experience. The fact that you're sharing this with other people.
Yes, I think it's something so special to be in an audience and to be experiencing this theatrical performance and to be able to look across and see your neighbor and see their experience. And as a director, for me, to see audience members lean in
Hmm.
and what excites them and to see them, go like this and it was one point my assistant director was sitting next to me last night and they tapped my knee to look over, and it was just a row of women sobbing but like happy tears, and they were like, this is what we do this for, obviously not to make people cry but to have this shared experience. And they were all holding hands, and I asked them afterwards, I was like, do you all know each other? You seem really friendly. And they're like, we just met tonight, but we just really connected with the story. And so they were like, that's why you looked over and saw us holding hands. And I was like, that's what this is about. That's what, and I think to me, for me, that's what Taproot Space provides.
Definitely unique for sure.
Mhm.
As a director, what's your philosophy? Because I've worked with, I mean, at the community theater level, I've worked with directors who have a philosophy that once the show starts, they're hands off, and they sometimes don't even come to some the performances. Some are there all the time. I know in your situation when you do previews, obviously you're probably tweaking, I assume, and things like that all the way up to the end. Um, but once the show starts, how much tweaking do you do? Are you involved in that, or you just kind of just let it go? Like, here's my baby, and just let it kind of sail.
I love this question, Greg. Um, Here's the thing. I think part of it starts from casting. And I think part of, as a director, when you're picking your cast and your design team, it's people who you want to spend this time creating and making this baby with. And that you go, I know once I'm not here every day, nitpicking and critiquing everything, you will take care of the baby. And what I feel and how I feel is that I trust this cast and my design and creative team that they're going to take care of this baby. So after tonight, will I be back? Absolutely. I will absolutely come back and see the show. But I know they know our responsibility in telling
Hmm.
this story, and they believe in taking our audience on this journey. And so I trust that they will take care of the baby and take care of the show. I'm really excited to join them for talkbacks when we have our scheduled talkbacks during the run, and to just discuss with them how the show is going, the feedback that they're getting, and just hear audience perspective. But I am a director who tends to, y'all got it, and I trust. I
Hmm.
trust.
Yeah, and especially with a cast like this and looking through the creative team, it's definitely in good hands.
Absolutely.
I've seen Richard before in he was Jeeves last season, or I guess yeah, it was. I'm trying to think. Your season runs a little bit different. Um, I
Last year.
last year. There you
Last
go.
year. And it was last season, but
Last
yes,
season.
last year.
But you've got Pam and Scott Nolte in this. How's it been with them? They've got a ton of experience, obviously founders of the theater itself. How have they kind of leaned into this?
They have been consummate professionals and just leaders in the space. And they have also just allowed me the space to be a director, to be a young new director. This is my opening main stage debut at Taproot, and they have just welcomed me with open arms, guided me, and just been like, "Hey, we're here to play and here to support you." And they have just been leaders in the space with the other cast, and everyone in this show has worked at Taproot. So there's a sense of community, and we all understand why we're doing the work. We understand how it's missional and purposeful. And so again, they all understand about taking care of the baby. But I am so grateful for Pam and Scott Nolte. They have just been unbelievable during this process.
Now you mentioned Sonia before the whole the role the dramaturg role. Can you explain because we don't get a lot we don't get into that a lot. So we talk about yeah, obviously the cast, the lighting design, sound design, set design, but I've noticed this in every program. There's always a dramaturg listed there. What is the if you could just educate the our viewers or even me. I know a little bit I think about it, but what a dramaturg does and what Sonya in that role has added to the show.
Absolutely. So, what a dramaturg does is provide some historical context and research for productions. So, normally, what they would do is they would sit down with the director and kind of talk about what the director's hopes and dreams and visions are for the show, and then take maybe the setting, the year, if we have any historical characters in the show, and go do all of this research to find different facts and information for the show to help enhance the production. And I mean, it comes into play even in designing the show, what the show actually looks like.
I was going to
It
ask
comes into,
that. Yeah, with things like costumes and things like you would
yes.
think that that historical context would inform how those are done. Yeah.
Absolutely. It can inform casting. And they're just very essential as far as being a part of the production. And when we're in rehearsals, they present all of that information to actors. And it helps them develop their characters. One of the things Sonia was very essential, and I'm very grateful for our playwright, Bill Kane. He made himself very available to us and accessible to us. And he scheduled a Zoom meeting where the whole cast got to talk to him and ask questions, and Sonia helped facilitate that.
Nice.
And so a lot of the research that she did was based on his recommendation, my recommendation, and even recommendations and asks from the actors as well. And so she has just been crucial for this process. I'm very grateful for Sonia.
Great. Yeah, it sounds like you've built sort of a collaborative space, as you've been building this the show between your creative team, the actors, and obviously even having the playwright involved. It's been sounds like it's been kind of a nice experience for you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Theater is a collaborative art. I could not do this alone. I'm not a director who is a dictator by any by any means, and I welcome the collaboration. I think, right? I'm not the only one telling the story. It's my job to make sure the story is clear and that there's a through line. But at the end of the day, I have to trust that my designers and the artist are there to serve the story.
Well, the show runs through April 20th. People get tickets at taproottheater.org. And it runs, I mean, I think Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I know, I think next Thursday is when I'm coming. So I'm looking forward to that. What is next for you? Do you have anything on the docket that you're looking at to do after this?
Yes, I'm really excited. I'm going to be working at Village on Once on This Island. I'm the associate director for that production, and then I'll circle back really quickly and direct Sister Act for Taproot.
Excellent. All right.
Yeah,
If people are interested in finding out what you're up to, are you on social media, Facebook, Instagram?
all the socials, and then obviously you can find me at Taproot any day.
Awesome. Well, thank you for taking the time to speak with me today. I cannot wait to see this show. It looks, from what I can tell, really good, and I'm even more excited after talking to you about it. Again, March 20th through April 20th, and it is after March 20th. So you were mentioning the previews. When is officially opening night is
Tonight.
tonight. Okay.
Tonight, yes.
Tonight, so March 22nd, which will be probably by the time this is released a few days ago. But,
Yes.
you know, so again, thank you. I'm looking forward to seeing this. And yeah, I'll see you at the theater if you're going to be there.
Yes, thank you
Thanks
so
again.
much again, Greg. I really appreciate it. And thank you so much for what you're doing for theater, specifically Seattle theater. We really appreciate you.
Thanks so much. So, thanks again to my guest, Bretteney Beverly, for taking the time to go behind the curtain and discuss Taproot Theater's upcoming show, How to Write a New Book for the Bible, running on stage from March 20th through April 20th. For more information on the show and tickets, visit taproottheater.org. And thank you for taking the time to join me behind the curtain. I'm Greg Heilman for the Sound on Stage, and until next time, I'll see you at the stage door.